ultimately the cinematography doesn't really matter that much. Like the performance is so much more important, and it's easy to get caught up in the technical stuff as an actor. But I think if you just let all the technical shit go away and just trust the people, the technicians who are there, they're being paid to look at this stuff.
Hi, I'm Alex DeLerma, and this is the Cinema Gym. The Cinema Gym is all about helping you transition from the stage to the screen. Hello, Pascal Combes-Knoke.
Here we are again.
Another episode with this cinematographer in the Cinema Gym. Seems appropriate.
Let's have some fun.
So I'm glad I'm bringing in other people like you in other departments, editing, post-production super, director, so on. It's invaluable. And I'm curious as to what your opinion is on this next topic, which is, should actors watch their own work during a production?
I think yes and no. It's always interesting that these aren't really binary answers. An easy example of when an actor should watch their work relates to the size of the shot. So sometimes, when an actor is aware that this is a big wide shot and they can see how small they are in the frame, I feel like they can exaggerate their body language because otherwise it's imperceivable. You're not going to see those little nuances in eye twitching or facial muscles in a big wide, whereas if it's an extreme close-up and they see that and they're like, oh, wow, okay, I can really downplay this because, everything is being transmitted so clearly to the viewer in an extreme close-up. So I think it also differs from actor to actor. Some actors, I find that watching themselves, they become too self-conscious and it's actually going to interfere with their performances. Whereas other actors like the reassurance of, okay, so this is where I look, this is how I look at this mark. Just being aware of how they can be interactive with their environments, if it's props or, if there's a table or here, knowing that, okay, the top of this table is in the shot so I can interact with this. It's often just helpful if the actor sees that in the camera as opposed to the game of telephone where I try to, verbally explain what their parameters are.
That's excellent. And I think you're absolutely right. It's a person-to-person issue. Typically, I find that unless you're seasoned, it's not a good idea. That's just a generalization.
Yeah, I agree.
And people who say, actors who say, oh, I hate to watch my own work, I would challenge that. And I would say, well, you need to decide why is it that you hate your own work? It just makes me feel uncomfortable. These are some of the answers I've gotten having been an acting coach since 2006.
Right.
And my specialty is acting for camera. So I would force people, as Leslie over there in the back knows, the end of every month, it's big giant screen projector, and we're seeing the work from the month. So that you build up this emotional callus. And it's almost like watching the image of yourself becomes another person. And then also that you can see what is making you uncomfortable often has very little to do with your physicality. You may think, oh God, my nose, oh God, that scar, or whatever. And yet, occasionally I would have an actor who did a great job that month with a scene. And they're just like, whoa. And then afterwards I go, did you notice that you weren't self-conscious about how you looked? Yeah. Yeah. That's because the work, it's really ultimately, I think lots of times when actors get in their heads,
right,
on some level, they don't believe, to go to another episode you and I did about an actor not really being present or believing in, the imaginary circumstances.
Right, exactly.
That's why they get this, because on some level they know that sucks.
Right.
But they may not be developed enough yet in their training to understand. And so they play it off like, oh God, that cinematographer, he didn't get my best side. Oh, his angles are terrible. Who lit this?
Right.
Right? Which is nonsense.
Right.
Complete nonsense.
Yeah.
Because even with something that is poorly lit.
Yeah, it's so 100% true. Ultimately, the cinematography doesn't really matter that much. Like, the performance is so much more important. And it's easy to get caught up in the technical stuff as an actor. But I think if you just let all the technical shit go away and just trust the people, the technicians who are there, they're being paid to look at this stuff. So you have a guy who's only doing focus, so a guy who's only holding the camera. So just trust that they're doing their jobs and just focus on your performance. And also just being aware that you could look at another, you could go and request, I would like to see what I did. It's like, that's fine. But, we only have, let's say, 5 minutes left before we have to move on. Right. We could have easily gotten another take. Yeah. And now you just lost that. Yeah. Because now you want to look at it. And
that's important for actors too. And by the way, I love what you just said. I have a great respect for cinematography. Of course, it's the whole basis of movies, right? But to shorthand what you said, all that technology was invented for one reason, and that's to capture the magic of the writer and the performer. Yeah. There's other artists here that are painting with different types of tools, but those tools were invented for one purpose. And that's important and also to our actors to understand. That's fantastic, man.
Yeah, and look, I could, and this happens so much. I could capture a terrible performance and make it look better than anything you've seen in your life, but it's still a polished piece of turd, and no one's gonna watch that. I could do the opposite. You could deliver the best performance of your life. I could not even show up as long as someone presses the red button and you have something incredible. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important to put into perspective.
I couldn't have said it any better. And I'm actually shocked and surprised as a cinematographer that you would be so unfiltered.
It's true.
To go ahead and say that.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, having great cinematography will elevate it more.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm just saying as a baseline, this is the reality. Anyway, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being in the cinema, Jim.
Let's do it again sometime.
Brother.
Cheers.
Thanks for visiting the Cinema Gym. If these videos are helping you and you want to see some more, please like, subscribe, comment. Let's keep this thing going. If you're interested in classes, seminars, or private coaching, you can visit the website. Hope to see you in the gym soon.
TheCinemaGym.com for virtual one-on-one coaching for camera.